things get very difficult.
Now actually, let's talk about pools, because Pool C, Quadrant's currently sitting second 2-1. They got the job done over G2. Surely it's easy just beating G1 now.
You'd think that, and I think most open teams you'd expect to lose to a team who is second in the pool, but I also think Quadrant have been overperforming so far. They took down G2, but now they have to go one step further and take down G1.
G1 ran the gauntlet, but it's shields up, weapons hot. Here we go through the eyes and ears of Swish. What can he do for his team?
Swish has been incredible so far this tournament. I spoke to the boys, they said he's who you need to look at. He is the damage dealer of the squad. He'll be getting those power weapons. He'll be making sure he's getting in the face of enemies. So I am expecting big things from him, but Quadrant do get the first camouflage, which is going to be very important here.
Fragxr with that camouflage helps get one and assists another. Decent use there. 3 go down here. PreDev, the last man alive. They'll be fighting against Shad, but Shad gets the job done. Double kill.
Shad's been really impressive throughout not just this tournament, but online tournaments as well. The newest addition to this Quadrant roster. His first LAN as well, so there is always going to be that extra pressure. Look for him to be the entry fragger of the team. He often likes to get into those fights first, deal that damage, and then try and get some assists.
Oh! Shad shuts him down, gives him the wiggles, drops the shoulder, says see you later. A and B in control, but G1 looking to change that here and now through Squallaye. Stronghold does transition, but it's A and C. It's been transferred very quickly. That's something Quadrant are good at, is recognizing when they're going to lose a stronghold and flipping the map.
Yeah, Quadrant traditionally have been very good at strongholds, but this one has been one of their worst ones out of the selection that's available, and it always surprises me, because I think it should match well with how they play the game. But to start with, a very successful beginning, 55 points on the board at the moment. Remember, this is G1's first ever main stage performance as well, so there's always going to be that added pressure on their side.
Pressure burst pipes. And also turn men into legends. Will that pressure get to them here? Toni back down. They have A and B. This is the first time they've got a significant amount of points on the board. 1v1 against SLG, who had to reload his weapon. That's going to be a free kill for him. Fragxr over towards batteries, desperately trying to survive, but Swish takes care of business.
It's been a really good response from G1 after the start of this game. Quadrant could have quite easily snowballed out of control, but G1, they slowed things down. They had a patient approach to their push, and this could be a really important kill, which it will be. Unfortunately, I think nades should take you out of B here, but Toni's doing very well to just dive around these batteries.
In comes Fragxr, he clears house, gets the reset onto B. B and C now in control of Quadrant once more, but this game's back and forth. Shad with that repulsor gets himself out of dodge.
What's interesting, I think, with G1 coming out of this open bracket is they probably looked at Quadrant before this tournament and said, hey, they're up for taking. If we end up in those groups, they've not been performing that well in the EU Super, for example, but I think this Quadrant is a very different Quadrant from what we saw in the EU Super. They seem to really want this tournament, and they seem to have found that little bit of belief that maybe they lacked for the last few.
Newest addition to their team is that man on your screen, Shad. He's been having a very impressive tournament. We touched upon it already. He likes to be that entry fragger. He's going to try to play a little bit of defense here on the Swish. Catches him a little unawares. Can he give PreDevoNatoR the wiggles? Opts the back down this time. With the help of his teammates come through, they make sure they maintain this triple cap.
And that entry fragger statistic is very much emphasized here on Strongholds, because he is usually the player who is getting those kills on the guys who are already in a stronghold when he's having those battles. And he is likely going to be the one who is then moving on to that next stronghold, saying to a teammate, look, you capture it, I'm just going to the next one. I'm happy to take that fight as he picks up a double.
Does anybody else want a piece? Because he will slice you off a little bit. Burnt ends coming your way. Hot out the oven.
Eagle team halfway to
Big Shad over towards A, turns his attention towards Swish, and with the help of Fragxr, they take care of business. Looking to transfer A once more. B under contest though, and Squallaye and Toni make sure they make that job a little bit easier than it could have been.
I might not be a barbecue expert, but I don't think burnt ends come out of an oven. I'm fairly certain that you put them on a barbecue, right, and then you take the ends which are burnt,
yeah,
and then you serve them to whoever wants them.
I've only had barbecue one time, and I wasn't in the kitchen while it happened, so KC has been my introduction to barbecue food, so why are you criticizing me right here, right now?
Big double kill though from Swish, and he really is living up to that, you know, damage dealer status that the rest of the team did set on him.
Oh!
He takes out the sword at the wrong time, but always important to have a sticky grenade in your back pocket.
TchiK then, face to face with Squallaye, both see the whites in each other's eyes, but with the help of teammate Shad, they will convert A and C, and looking to get B2, getting a bit greedy over there. But toni shuts that one down. So still controlling A and C, still scoring. It's now 155 to 38. And this is the game type we fancy G1 to take.
I did fancy G1 on this game type, mainly just because of that recent scrim between the two. TchiK unfortunately gets taken down there. And now I feel like G1 have to take advantage of this little bit of momentum they've got hold of. They are 120 down, but we've seen throughout this tournament various times that people can have these incredible comebacks as long as you're playing on the same ball as everyone else. As long as you're all shooting the same things, you're coordinating, and you're pushing together. They hold A and B for now, they wait, they see who's spawning at C and where they're going.
We did almost see a miraculous comeback from HCS against the fellow countrymen in Ascend. Quadrant hoping not to even flirt with that idea. toni takes down Shad though, and that means they're going to continue scoring. And the Quadrant defense will be broken, but SLG and TchiK answer back there, and see TchiK scampers towards bottom control.
It's a really good scoring period for G1 here, and I think traditionally European teams, they do crumble. We do choke a little bit when the latter stages of the game come through. When you're that close, you know you're ahead, and they almost get in their own head, do some of these players, but a sword in the hands of SLG is always going to be a good sign. Now we can start to pick up some kills. A and C once again in control, and Quadrant are scoring.
SLG happy to hold the line here. SLG, what an impressive tournament he's been having so far.
He has had an amazing tournament, and I'm not really surprised to see sword and shock rifle in his hand. He has over 50% of this team's kills with power weapons. That is an unreal statistic with just... It means the rest of the team is allowing him to have those power weapons. They're probably dropping them to him as well, but camouflage in the hands of Fragxr.
What can Fragxr do? Helping his teammate clear out A. The full eviction notice. One goes down, make it two. Three dead momentarily. toni, last man alive, desperately trying to control C and stop the bleeding.
Look how quick they move to C as well. They get A and they say, you know what, screw that. We want a triple. We want to hold this. We want to win this game here and now. Let's continue this pressure. Do not slow down and give G1 the chance to think about where they want to move.
Squallaye in a world of hurt gets back down, and Fragxr turns his attention back towards top A, getting tagged up a little bit to half shields. We've seen Swish get a little bit frisky now towards top A. He wins that engagement. Shad under the staircase, like Harry Potter almost, but can he pop up and perform a little bit of magic?
The big kill has to be done, and we need to see now perfect Halo from G1. If you can get control of A and B here, then you might be able to just continuously pin Quadrant in a spawn cycle, and it is a temporary trip cap. And this is good. You want Quadrant to be trying to run into B here, so you can just continuously slay them as they run in like lemmings.
How did Fragxr manage to survive that long and control B? Fantastic work out of the Frenchman. You see now G1 quickly trying to transfer control once more. Get the pink slips passed over. Fragxr now spawning bottom A. A little bit of friskiness, and Swish comes out on top, and that's what we spoke about. He's the one that wins those fights.
This is what we saw Ascend do. They were merely 5 points away against HCS, and they started to slip up, they started to panic, they started to rush into the strongholds to try and get those final points. Quadrant can't allow that to happen to them as well. Just take a breather, or make sure you push together, get some clear direction. This is when you're looking at your coach, this is when you're looking at your kind of IGL to say, right, we're going to A. As long as we all go together, everything will be fine.
They get that first pick, it's going to be Swish. Where will they turn their attentions to? It looks as though the play call has come through, but unfortunately, TchiK's teammates have fallen over towards B, and Squallaye in a world of hurt on double stacks. Could he? Yes, he can win that engagement when he had no right to.
No right at all, and we're used to seeing TchiK absolutely slaying through European Halo, but a couple of head shakes today, it has not been firing for him, but they are still ahead, 245 to 115. Plenty of time and plenty of room to work with for Quadrant. They just need to not get too het up here.
TchiK picks up one, but ultimately it's going to get traded out, and all this time we're going to see a trip cap for G1. Quadrant need to get some control.
It's like a French deja vu. It's happening again against another French side who have 5 points remaining, but just can't seem to get over that final hurdle. And G1 need to take advantage of this. They know the pressure is on Quadrant right now, and you can see it in their gameplay. It also forces G1 to play absolutely immaculate Halo, so we're seeing them at their very best right now.
This was the exact score yesterday that Ascend had amounted to 245 when that miraculous comeback started to come to fruition. A and B still in control. Quadrant need to get that opening slay. They have, but they've lost 2 teammates. In the meanwhile, make it 3. G1 are going to continue to score and look as though they can continue this trip cap.
And what are Quadrant doing at the moment? Like, they are pushing one by one into strongholds. They are clueless and they are panicking to an incredible amount that G1 are taking advantage of, and this is playing perfectly into the hands of how G1 want to play They just want to run around the map together and just shoot everything that they see. But Quadrant need to win some big 1v1s if they are still going to be able to win this game.
TchiK sneaks in, stops the bleeding just a touch, but it's now a 245 to 204 score game, with G1 continuing to hold control of A and B. But Quadrant looking to change that here. Big fight goes down. Killing spree and 4 fresh shots from Squallaye.
It's going to be a trip cap again, and Quadrant, I'm seeing too many individuals just getting taken down one by one. Camouflage going into the hands of G1 now. This could be a huge comeback for the boys in blue. Quadrant have to just settle down. You've got one realistic push now. Get control of A, win an engagement, and then try and get B or C back. Otherwise, this is going to be one of the best comebacks we've seen this tournament.
Squallaye has the sword in his back pocket. PreDevoNatoR has the camouflage, and Shad's going to be the one to get touch tight. Has the plasma grenade to get that trade though. B starting to transfer here. 2 go down for G1, but 4 dead for Quadrant.
4 dead, they have one final push. You really hope you're going to be able to spawn, but all 4 of them are in different directions. G1 looks like they've got it done at the moment, but Quadrant are careless. They are going nowhere near these strongholds.
Careless, reckless, and G1 taking full control here. We have a contest on B, but it's not going to matter. G1 take game 1.
And sometimes a picture can say 1,000 words. Quadrant dejected, but pure adrenaline through the G1 roster, because that comeback was something else. And that is why I love Strongholds, because even when it's 245 to about 80, there is always that chance that a team can either A, mess it up severely, or a team can just play that consistent and perfect Halo. And that is going to be such a confidence booster for this G1 roster, who have been tearing through the open bracket.
Before the series, we talked about how this is ever so slightly favoring G1. So we expected they were going to win the game. But Quadrant, there's a way of losing games, and that one's painful.
That's going to be in your heads. And too many times I've spoken to the Europeans here at this event, and they've said, oh, you know, we were so close. We were 1 second off in ball. We were 2 seconds off in Strongholds. We were 2 kills off against X, Y, or Z team, against these North American sides that they probably should be beating. But they need to just put that one past them now. Quadrant say, all right, you know, maybe we weren't expected to win it. We came very close. But just look at this comeback from G1. And they were so calm as well. They knew they had the potential to do it, but they didn't panic. They kept focusing, they kept playing the way that they were, and then they erupted once that 250 mark was found.
What I was really impressed with, yes, it took them a very long time to get going, but there was a point there when once they got that control, all of the players knew what they were doing. They were all singing from the same hymn sheet.
And I just can't wait to see this reaction again, because, you know, they were probably a little bit worried when it started to get contested. But then some of those players really did just roar across that main stage. And remember, G1's first ever appearance on main stage in HCS competition. And what a way to start it with a comeback like that, 250 to 245.
But now we do go into Slayer on live fire very quickly. We turn around. Quadrant want to maintain control of Pool C here. They want to keep second place. But G1 knocking on that door, and they're very quickly getting impatient, looking to kick that door in and take their spot.
They really are, aren't they? And it's Slayer live fire. It's another game type they did beat Quadrant in just a few days ago when they played each other here on LAN before the tournament started. And after that game 1, they are going to be filled with confidence now. Everything is going to be expected from them to win this game 2. Quadrant have to pick themselves up though. They cannot let this get behind them.
G1 win here. They're on match point. SLG has that snipe rifle. We spoke about how he's having a very impressive tournament. But oh, how G1 have thrown a spanner in the works.
And how many times have we seen this roster just crumble under the pressure in online tournaments as well? Very good in scrims historically, but sometimes when it comes to it, they just do flop a little bit performance-wise. And we thought this tournament was going to be different for them. And you know, we're only saying it after 1 game. We've given Quadrant a very hard time throughout the European Super. They looked incredible yesterday, but we need to see that same Quadrant. At the moment, they're down by 3.
We thought the pressure might be on G1. It's their first time on main stage. All the experience that Quadrant have, particularly in SLG. The way it's gone so far with Toni hitting 4 fresh shots. Heatwave in the back pocket, complemented by the Heatwave, and Shad gets fried to his core.
And naturally, the players I'm looking to step up is going to be TchiK and SLG. TchiK has been the main slayer of this squad throughout this tournament, but SLG's been the main damage dealer. They're the two who need to link up and ensure that those kills are going in their favor in a slayer. The other two, Shad and Fragxr, they have their responsibilities as well. You've got the entry Fragxr of Shad, and then Fragxr is that support player that you need, someone who is going to anchor every now and then and just be there to clean up those kills.
Those kills 10-7 now. 4 dead for G1. Now Quadrant have a little bit of control. Snipe rifle in the back pocket of SLG. More shots like that, please.
That's what the doctor will order. And SLG's trying to fulfill that as well. And it does look like Quadrant are firing now. It could be a triple as well. That's the SLG that we know. That's the SLG of old. We need more of that if Quadrant are going to get back into this series.
They take the lead. Camouflage has just popped up. Swish positioned over towards scoreboard, trying to give the wiggles. Unable to throw off the French shot. SLG will get eliminated. This opens up the door now for a camouflage grab, and it has been picked up.
A lot of responsibility on the shoulders when you do have camo. You have to think about where you're going to strategize, where you're going to be pushing. 1 assist and could be 2 as well, but Toni is at least on the job as a distraction technique. Sometimes that's all you can do with the camouflage at times, but actually finds a 2nd assist. G1, I think their main aim now is to try and shut down SLG. Do not allow him to get that sniper rifle, because once SLG does start firing, he does increasingly put that pressure on you with such an important power weapon on this map.
SLG already registering 7 kills for his team. PreDevoNatoR on the other side with 6. These teams have very little to separate them. Only 5 points in Strongholds. Only 2 kills right now. 3 go down for G1. 20 kills to 18.
And when we looked at this pool play situation where the open teams are going to be joining the pools, it's the first time it's happened in quite some time. I think 2011 MLG is when we last saw it. But G1, they have a real chance to disrupt this group. And they could make sure that Quadrant's like amazing day 1 suddenly becomes a very miserable day 2 where they could end up starting in that elimination bracket. And G1 could even think about the dizzy heights of the winners bracket if they are playing the way we've seen so far. 4 kills down at the moment, but I think in a live fire slayer, as long as you are within 5, you are always going to be quite comfortable and happy.
4 kills difference right now. All these players positioned in towards garage. Fragxr lands a body shot, but unable to land that killer blow. Another camouflage about to pop up in 5 seconds. PreDevoNatoR with the sniper rifle in his hands. 1 shot in the chamber and 4 in the magazine to spare if he shall call upon them. 24-25, and PreDevoNatoR rocks the skull of Fragxr.
Exactly what you want to see from PreDevoNatoR. I had a little chat with him before this series started, and he was so calm. You would have not have known it's G1's first performance on main stage. Of course, some of these individuals have been on the main stage before, but as a team, it's their first performance. And I tell you what, PreDevoNatoR did not look like he was phasing him whatsoever, and you can see it in his gameplay as well. As for Squallaye, he's got the camouflage.
Trigger discipline, but Shad has spotted him out, and this could be big, and is. As TchiK locks that one in for his team. 26-28, Quadrant hold a slim and slender advantage.
Swish in a difficult spot at the moment, but bottom middle is so important to be able to flank round. You just don't want to be flanking too much, and that's what happens. Quadrant, once they recognize the players on their own, they will just jump on you, and that team shot is so difficult to play against, and TchiK may be starting to heat up.
Oh! TchiK! Wobbling them wigs, it's an overkill!
That's the TchiK that we've seen throughout the European Super. That's why he's taken the plaudits of this Quadrant roster. It was all SLG back in the day, but TchiK has got better and better and is one of the best players in Europe right now. And that's exactly what Quadrant needed. Triple kill on the other side for SLG.
Oh, another overkill!
Happening!
When you need to turn up big, SLG and TchiK dragging their team forward.
Very rarely you get to see overkills like that, especially back-to-back from different players. And I said I wanted SLG and TchiK to both step up as the damage dealer, as the kill stealer, whatever it may be. And they are working in tandem right now. Quadrant seems to have been fired up by that loss in game 1.
41-32 now. Quadrant have clawed their way back into this and pushed ahead now. Not interested in going down 2-0 in the series as Shad takes a little drink. Splish Splash taking a bath. PreDevoNatoR backs down though with the sniper rifle. The job's not done yet.
How tough is it as well in the kill feed when you see someone's got an overkill, and then someone's got an overkill again, and as a team you're just saying, well, what's going wrong? How are we feeding these kills to these boys on the other side? 45 to 36, surely Quadrant can't throw this one away like they did game 1.
Swish had the camouflage and the heat wave, got 1, but wasn't good for 2. Bottom middle SLG picks up Toni. Shad trying to get away, almost strong siding on the camera too. Hoping that if he dips down in real life, those shots might not connect. That's TchiK, lines up that body shot. They only require 1 now to tie up this series. It might come here on the Swish. SLG soars, gets forward, shut down. 1 kill required then.
It slows down slightly because G1 now are going to be trying to avoid fights, but TchiK is more than happy to take those fights. There we go, wrapped up. Quadrant tie up this series 1-1, and what a game that was. I feel like I need a breathe. I need a cup of tea. I'll take a baguette at this point.
Can we get on set Bravo and we need to tag out? This game's too much. This series is too much. But we're all tied up, 1-1. And when we spoke about it, when we discussed it at the start, we thought this was going to be a G1 win.
That TchiK overkill is going to be in a highlight reel for years to come, by the way. Halo Infinite, very difficult to get those amazing multi-kill moments, especially in tournament play when you're going up against such incredibly talented players. And Quadrant, after that performance in game 1, you'd expect, you know, they'd be dejected, they'd be struggling, heads would be down, and then TchiK just went, just give me a sniper rifle. Just give me a sniper rifle, lads, and we will do fine. And then SLG goes, I don't need anything. I just need pure, raw aim. Very impressive from Quadrant. Now it's how will G1 respond?
Anything, it seemed, that SLG could do, TchiK could do, but only a little bit better. Those 2 men popped off at the right possible moments for their team.
Wonder if there was some inside betting going on between those two, because it did seem like they were trying to one-up one another, and I can't wait for these highlights, to be honest, as TchiK was so impressive in this game. There's 1, and the second, it just lined up perfectly. And look at him erupt as well. The Raw is going to do wonders for your confidence as a team. Very impressed with Quadrant, but they cannot let this get to their heads too much, right? I'm all for adrenaline, keeping the momentum, but at the same time, G1 have just had a game 1 and then lost it on game 2. We could quite easily see this series go back and forth.
Confirmation then, 250 to 245. Strongholds Recharge, Slayer Lightfire, 50 to 40. But now we head to CTF Bazaar, Dan. Talk me through it.
Well, across the EU Super and across Rally, we've only seen Quadrant lose this once, and it was to Cloud9. So I'll just count it as a 100% record, apart from Cloud9, because that doesn't count. They are very good on this game type. They have even disrupted Ascend on this game type in the European scene. As for G1, I'd say this is a middle-of-the-pack game type for them. They succeed against some teams, but they struggle against those who maybe play it a little bit faster. G1 prefer it to slow down. They like to play strategical. They like to focus on that overshield, focus on those rockets. So for Quadrant, if I'm in those shoes, if I'm the coach, I'm saying let's just try and play as fast as we can here. Let's really disrupt this G1 roster.
Nothing to separate these two as we head into game 3 then. TchiK and SLG. What a game 2. Overshield about to pop up, but those sizzle sticks are doing all the damage that they need. Swish picks up that overshield, unable to lock it into his chest, but the information will come through. A big fight comes down, and Toni's on top.
And Fragxr individually has struggled in tournaments of past, but I want to keep eyes on Fragxr throughout this game in particular because his flag carry time has been far above anyone else in this team. He really is that objective player. He's more than happy to focus it, so I'm expecting him to be trying to get behind enemy lines, trying to pull that flag.
Speaking of pulling flags, whenever G1 do just that, they score 40% of the times they do pull that flag. On the other side of things, Quadrant, 38%. So we're saying there's very little to separate them, and this just proves it.
Bazaar CTF is a very difficult game to manage as well, and I think everyone knows that at this point. One flag could be enough to win you this game. But also, with how back and forth these two teams have been, I wouldn't be surprised if one goes in and a counter cap suddenly comes through. Bulldog, very important on this map, and unfortunately just doesn't hit from that distance.
Bulldog just didn't have the legs to do the damage required. Shad's battle rifle certainly does, though. See now turns his attentions over towards the enemy palm tree. Swish backs down wisely, or he could be face to face with a Frenchman. They have now got bar control. Get your orders in now. And it better be murder, better be killings. Back down though, down to no shields. That sizzle stick will get the job done, and Shad turns 1 into 2. Gets a killing spree, but that will be the last of the action while he comes off the respawn.
It is so interesting how there's so many different pressures for these teams as well. You've got like Shad, who's playing his first LAN. You've got G1, their first appearance on main stage. And you've also got Quadrant in a position where they're the favorites. I mean, that's not going to happen very often in an international major, right? You'd expect that Quadrant would usually be the underdogs. But because they're in pool play, because G1 have come through the open bracket, Quadrant will fill those shoes. G1, though, need to show why they have dominated through that open bracket. And I tell you what, Swish leading the charge, I'm not surprised why.
Second overshield then for G1. But we spoke about Fragxr, how he's traditionally struggled at LAN competitions and in tournament play, but the more shots like that, shutting down players like that, that'll help the Quadrant cause.
Shad getting one of those early kills again, just being that entry fragger for the team. But grenades are so important in this game as well. Off spawn, you need to have a good idea of where your teammates are dying. As long as you don't send too many grenades and kill your teammates, you just need to be able to assist them with as much damage as possible.
SLG doing that damage for his team, eliminate Swish. Squallaye could be next. Communication came through. Toni was positioned over towards the palm tree, and SLG will help clean that one up as well. And we could be about to see one of the first flag grabs, and we do. Remember, 38% of the flag grabs the Quadrant get, they complete. 2
are dead, flag has just been pulled. G1 maybe struggling a little bit. Let's have an Astro listen in and see what the comms are like.
I'm getting out mid.
Watch out, guys. I'm grabbing our spike.
I went through the window. Here, I'm gonna kill the back closet. Give me a sec. No, in the closet. They're BRs because, well, I'm shocking them. I got a lot of damage here, dude. All dead.
Yeah, pushing out.
I hear you. You guys should be good. You guys should be good. Hey, here you go, bro. You got touched, Devin. Yeah.
I'm trying to watch our OE.
Weak their pillars, CTchiK.
Yeah, we're Slay here. One are big.
Their pillars are one rocket, I think. Or he's out.
He was hurt on big door.
Big door went our jump up. Our jump up.
Yeah, watch out. No, it should be two.
Devin, you're last.
Yeah, stay low.
Keep running. I got doubles on you.
On shocks now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go RBR.
They're already gonna be our retreat. I got shots on Obi a little bit.
Yeah, front jump, gonna go doubles.
Our big one shot.
How did our flag with Needler?
No one top rockets.
I don't see her big. No help, Nate. Yo, RBR with Obi.
That is just a little insight then into the communications of G1. And it almost complements what you were saying. They're cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, a lot of simple call-outs, nothing too kind of screamy in each other's ears. No panic at the moment. It's a very even game, 0-0. We've seen both flags be taken, but no one really get it past that halfway mark. And CTchiK recognizing that, you know, he would be under a lot of fire. And I love this. Let's go for a bit of movement and get that flag as quick as possible.
Does get it over the halfway point, and complimentary kills coming through with SLG and Shad picking up a couple. Well, they have answered back here, but there shouldn't be enough pressure, and isn't. 1-0 to Quadrant.
And the crowd seem to like that one as well. Some Quadrant fans, I'm sure. Maybe fans of Lando Norris, of course, who set up this Quadrant team. And CTchiK, you know, he set that one up like a lawnmower. Pulled it back and threw that flag as far as he could. And now with a 1-0 lead, you can play this game very differently on Bazaar. But are Quadrant are they gonna let their foot off the gas, you know? Or are they just gonna keep pushing this G1 roster? Try and get a second flag, try and really secure this game.
When you mentioned Lando Norris's name, I thought for sure there was some sort of F1 analogy coming. Then you said lawnmower, and it really threw me through the ringer.
I'm sure Lando Norris mows his lawn. Actually, no, he doesn't. Someone mows Lando Norris's lawn. We know that is definitely a thing. He's got enough money to pay someone.
Well, Quadrant right now mowing down the competition with this 1-0 lead. Swish, what can he do to change the fortunes of the team, though? Overshield about to pop. That 6-minute mark so important, because rockets are coming along too for the ride. And Swish in the perfect spot.
And that's what Quadrant have done well so far, is they've timed their kills when the overshield's been coming up, and they've been able to successfully then push off the back of that. But G1 are holding correctly. Are Quadrant just going to push now and erupt and try and take these rockets and overshields? Really big kills about to unfold.
We have seen the overshield get picked up and whisked away. Swish with the rockets gets 2, but has to pay the price with his life. As PreDevoNatoR soars towards the base and has intentions of pulling that flag, and does so successfully. Overshield just popped for Toni.
So rockets and overshield, and now they're pulling the flag. Quadrant are going to try and overextend through the bottom of shotgun, but it's whether they actually get that far. No, they've been collapsed on. This is perfect from G1.
Flag over the halfway point then. 2 members down for Quadrant. This stop is going to be very difficult. Make it 3. This should be barring a miracle, and that miracle might come in the shape and form of Shad, who's behind enemy, or CTchiK, excuse me, as he's behind enemy lines.
Both of them were, but they both got shut down very quickly, and As long as there's a return, and it should be an easy return, G1 should tie us up 1-1 here. Quadrant don't want to desperate this. They should just give it up, take some map control. With 5 minutes remaining, we're all square once more. What a series we have between these two teams.
So much on the line here. Both teams recognizing that. Fragxr and Shad pick up a couple. Swish answers back. 2 down, make it 3. Swish last man alive. What can he do for his team? SLG has palm tree control.
Really important you do take palm tree control, but also important if you're spawning, you make sure you clear it. You can't allow the other team to hold it away from you. Similarly with Bar as well. You need to be clearing your corners. It's very easy to ambush someone in Halo Infinite.
You see, G1 have got control of G1, but it's G1's bar, excuse me. SLG though, trying to get face to face with Swish. Commando will be respected and back him down. TchiK though, will pick up one onto PreDevoNatoR. Slays across the board. We talked about how good Swish is. 20 kills registered already.
And on the other side, Shad with 19. I mean, I listed him as the entry fragger, but he's also picking up many a kill. Gets tagged a little bit by his own teammate there. But with 20 kills, you're probably saying to the rest of the squad, look, I need someone else to be pulling those flags. I'll assist you. That's something Quadrant have always done very well. They are all happy to grab that flag. Even if someone pulls it out, they often train it back to the base together.
Palm tree control then, but it's not comfortable. Shad gets taken care of. And this is something that G1 have been doing very well with, is getting those overshields. This is going to be Quadrant's first.
So first overshield, but what do you do with it? Silence on the battlefield, so SLG says, you know what, I'll pinch a flag and I'll try and bring some of those players out of their hidey holes. And you can at least hear some footsteps here. But what can you do with an assault rifle?
AR out, looking to spray and pray. But Toni says, no, 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 not today. Toni gets bar control. They're starting to break out now. But Shad has taken down PreDevoNatoR. That will stop any pushes coming to fruition here. But setting himself up here for the rocket launcher.
It's starting to get a little bit nervy now because you've only got a few minutes left. You know if you lose a flag here, it's likely you lose the game as well. But G1 have got far too much rocket control for me. Quadrant haven't really set up well enough for that. Maybe we're expected to be able to throw some grenades. Now what can you do with these rockets? It doesn't matter if Bulldog goes down. With those rockets falling, Quadrant might be able to steal those actually, because 3 are dead from G1.
They have got eyes on the last player as well. Going to be PreDevoNatoR, 4 dead momentarily. Squallaye, the first man to spawn back up, and the movement out of SLG, that's absolutely beautiful, but you have to fear now next mistake is going to cost this team.
It could cost either of these teams, and SLG was just hoping that his teammates were going to be quickly through tree there, but he did back off because he recognized he doesn't want to take a 1 versus 2. 2 down from G1, 2 down from Quadrant. A kill here for SLG could result in a flag run, and now you could move it, but quick spawners means that he has to delay it ever so slightly.
Thought he had time to pull that flag, but shut down. So difficult to get things going here. Overshield about to pop up, and TchiK's looking to get involved with that, but Swish has a little bit of a backstab here and pays the price. Secures 1 for his team, leaving that overshield for the rest of the team members. 3 go down. SLG last man alive on the bar bridge.
Gives away a Bulldog though. Does SLG know it's there? He can't even stop this overshield, can SLG? Just got to try and play your life and survive, but PreDevoNatoR is definitely pushing this.
No doubt, plasma pistol picked up by SLG. Pops out, misses that first shot. Will get a second bite of the cherry, you feel. There it is. That one's not going to connect either. And now PreDevoNatoR's moved into bar.
Love the movement as well. He knew the plasma pistol was there. He jumps over it twice and avoids a 3rd one. SLG can jiggle peek all he likes, but PreDevoNatoR has got in that base and he's got assists coming through. The rest of the squad are in the middle of the map. This is going to be a flag.
PreDevoNatoR down to just a quarter or so shield. 1 burst will do the job. Toni in the respawn screen, but Shad also joins him. Fragxr picks up 1, that'll stop this push. Squallaye just trying to weigh up his options. Eyes up, TchiK down bottom middle. TchiK down with the chickens, he got taken care of. SLG back down once more into his palm tree. Desperately trying to get the return here.
You can really feel in G1's gameplay how much they want to take advantage of the fact they are in this position, they are in full play. They want to be, when the next major comes around, a poor play team from the beginning. They don't want to have to play out of open bracket. And sure, it might have been great practice, but that flag is still moving. SLG and Quadrant have positioned themselves fantastically to defend here.
The defense looks to have held. We're seeing Swish desperately try to drop down and keep it alive, knowing time is very much against them here. But this could have opened the door as we see 1 player actually drop out. We're going to see a little bit of a reset there. But 1-1, we were going to head into overtime. What a game that was.
Yeah, we're going to head into overtime probably anyway. Quadrant are able to at least stop that flag from being pulled. That could have very easily been a cap if SLG wasn't in the position that he found himself in. And I'm really impressed with both of these teams and their attitudes towards this
Yes.
game. Off spawn, there is clear direction from both of them. No one's running kind of aimlessly through bar and just hoping to find kills. Instead, you can tell the communication is on point for these guys. There is clear strategy. G1 would have learned that.
Yeah.
Right? So now do you go for something different? Do you start to pull plan B or plan C out of your pocket and say, hey, what else have we got that's difficult here?
Now, a player we highlighted before the game was going to be Swish, who's on 20 kills and 10 at one point when we've seen it, as we do jump right back into things. But SLG on our screens here, and like we said, he's been super impressive too.
Well, SLG and Swish are just having this ongoing battle of who can get more rockets, but it's been on the side of G1. They've got those rockets time and time again.
Oh.
And I said I like Quadrant's start, but G1 seems to have got the better. Quadrant's still managing to find that overshoot.
Shad just isolated all alone down on bottom truck, and 3 members of G1 to contend with, almost like a deer in the headlights, didn't know which one to shoot.
It's another set of rockets, goes for a complete body shot. Actually managed to catch a little bit of the wall. Always difficult when someone flies towards you like that with the rockets. So first overshield goes to Quadrant. First rockets goes to G1. That's pretty much how the game was playing out before the reset as well. I wonder whether Quadrant are going to try and change that up, or whether G1 will try and maybe pinch a couple of those overshields away as well. Looks like Shad did get a rocket, but that's land for you.
4 perfect shots by that man, Swish. Now in a 1v1, a very difficult battle with SLG, but it doesn't matter. He comes out on top, and now he has control of the enemy palm tree. This could spell danger for Quadrant.
Clutch highlighted Swish on the desk as well. He said G1 picking up Swish is going to do them wonders, and Clutch sees G1 around top 12 with this pickup, and it would be a real statement to take down Quadrant, who did finish top 12 back in Rally. They are a team who are around that benchmark, who will be looking to try and push towards that top 8 as well. The capture here would do wonders for their confidence.
And for G1, if they can take down Quadrant, who could bet against them taking second in the pool, such as how they've been playing, and that man locks in a killing spree. And Swish, Fragxr is going to be the latest man, but he puts in a double kill and shuts this one down.
Really important from Fragxr. We've been saying that we want to see a little bit more from him. What does he offer? And I tell you what, his ability to stop flags has been good throughout this entire tournament. He just seems to be able to position himself in one of those spots where the other team isn't necessarily expecting him to be there.
Now G1 fully set up playing defense, but look at that. Swish picks up 2 more when he has no right to. Now we're seeing Toni start to expand a little bit out of his base. That wiggle coming through. Shad picks up 1, but Swish another double kill and an overshield to complement it.
And Swish is on fire at the moment. This is literally watching NBA jam, and now you need a little bit of support from whoever did grab the overshield. And it's going to be Squallaye. They can push into the base if they want to, but they know they want to take mid-map control first, because a couple of players have gone down.
Fragxr going to be the latest one to go down. Squallaye with the overshield, but TchiK looking to evaporate it, and does that. No more advantage for you. Looks as though we have got another player jumping out, so we will come back to us once more, but G1, they would love to throw a spanner in the works.
Game 3 then, as a reminder, it's 1-1 in this series. We had an amazing games 1 and 2, and I'm sure we're going to see more of that here in game number 3 on Bazaar. Capture the flag. Very simple. Control the middle of the map. Make sure those rockets and overshield are going in your hand more than the opponents, and that puts you in great stead to try and get some flag captures.
Early engagements favor G1 here. Overshield, like we've seen time and time again. In the chest, Squallaye. What can he do with them? Pick up Fragxr here. Yes, he can. Turns his attentions towards the flag, getting tickled up just a little bit. Has to be recognized, has to be aware of SLG's. He's about to perform a little bit of a pinch here. He has decided to pull that flag, and SLG, in the words, we have seen this before, a little fumble. Doesn't quite get his hands on the flag as he whisks past it. Perhaps the hand's a little bit slippy.
A little bit slippy, and elsewhere, you know, Quadrant have taken advantage of that. They've picked up 2 kills, and G1 have to reset, and that's gone. You know, it could have been so different if you get that flag, but those are the fine margins sometimes in this game. Small mechanics, just grabbing a flag after the slide. It's not always easy. I mean, it should be easy, but it's not always easy. I mean, I wouldn't say how I do it personally, but I usually fail. But, you know, you see even the biggest and best players sometimes struggle a little bit. But now it's Quadrant's turn to try and push into this base and try and get a flag moving of their own.
They picked up 2 kills, now have to be aware of the overextenders. Toni gets himself face to face with TchiK, and Trade's going to do Quadrant the world of good here with the overshield. Could be a compliment on the way back.
Yeah, 3 were dead for G1. They're going to be spawning down towards that shotgun area. Some sizzle sticks for Shad to work with, though, just to gain some information. Have to throw them quickly. He's going to do a lot of damage with them, but responsibility now comes down to SLG in a 1 versus 1, a 2 versus 1, excuse me. Quadrant in an amazing position to run this flag.
Attempting to do so. Toni Tried to head him off the pass using the grapple hook, trying to do his best Batman impression. But Toni, you're not Batman, you're not Vengeance. 1-0 then. Quadrant punch in the first flag. They take the lead.
So important for Quadrant just to regain that momentum that they kind of had after game 2. It's been a long wait for them, but now with Overshield in the hands of G1, they're going to try and push through and get a flag running once more, and Squallaye's probably thinking about that. What could have been last time he ran a flag? There's 2 dead. Quadrant are going to be on the back foot ever so slightly, but G1 need to make sure they clear their corners here. You can't be ambushed.
Sizzle Stick doing a lot of damage to the Overshield. Completely evaporated now. As he gets eliminated, that flag will be stopped, excuse me. And a double kill, triple kill for SLG. He's heating up and he's hunting for Swish.
And SLG is just eating medals in this tournament so far. Triples, overkills, killing sprees, he's had it all. Needs to stay alive at the moment though. Even the thrust can't save you sometimes.
Grenade spun up, landed right on his feet. Fragxr not able to get that back whack, but that will spare the blushes as he backs away. Bulldog, it's a great thing to have in your back pocket. Shad gets taken down, rockets will drop. Toni recognizes that, picks them up. A full complement of rockets for him. Will help him eliminate TchiK. Will also lock in SLG. And now here comes the storm. G1 starting to descend on the base.
Yeah, I think it should be a thruster spawn. Will be a thruster spawn. Might be a split spawn actually here at this point. So Quadrant, that player who has split spawn, needs to try and make a difference. Are they even aware of this player who's going to be a tree? Yes, they are. So G1 continue to move. Quadrant are 3 dead, but look at what SLG's doing. It's a constant delay technique. He's waiting for the rest of the team to spawn, giving them at least a chance to overextend.
Has SLG done enough? Has that chance done enough? Bulldog, Squallaye,
what's happening?
Whiffing all around the place, makes a meal of it, eventually locks it in. Scampers away bottom middle, TchiK in the enemy bar, trying to be a thorn in the side and successfully doing so. SLG wants a bit more and gets it with a double kill.
It's just so messy at the moment, isn't it, down here? And every player trying to take an avenue so they can avoid some of these grenades, some of these shots, but it just seems like every corner you turn, there's someone else, but it's a flag return from Fragxr. Not only that, he's got an overshield as well. We said we needed to see him step up in these objective statistics, and he's doing just that.
Fragxr with the Bulldog, picks up 2. They're feeling themselves, they want this. Toni trying to do his best SLG impression of milking for as long as he could. PreDevoNatoR back base. The last man standing, the last line of defense. He's also doing a fantastic job of milking, but TchiK takes care of him. It's going to be an elbow spot.
2 players down by Mangler there, but you've got to stay alive if you're Fragxr here, because you might have to take this flag and run it. Fragxr has the most carry time for this team, but perhaps could have played it slightly differently there. 4 dead for Quadrant, and G1 defends successfully, but Quadrant still lead with 7 minutes remaining.
G1 hold the line.
Flag return.
And now they can form a push, formulate a plan of their own. First one, dynamo grenade bounces up. SLG steps out of his comfort zone. The trade's going to be good enough to stop this push. 2 dead. PreDevoNatoR will be the latest one to hit the respawn screen. Swish getting into an engagement here. TchiK wisely decides to back down and live to fight another day. This 1-0 lead might be enough here.
It certainly could be. Both teams have just been setting up that defense every time the opposition pushes in, but it's going to be the overshield. It's going to be the rockets that make a difference, and TchiK not missing at the moment as well. Might even be able to find a triple here, but unfortunately, with the assault rifle running out of bullets, he had to just try and get a trade. 1-0 still though, 6 minutes remaining. I like what G1 are trying to do. They're trying to just slowly pressure their way up the map, take down a couple of members of Quadrant, regain a little bit of ground, and then move some more. But there's always that last remaining player of Quadrant who's been a real nuisance. And now, with the Bulldog in hand, SLG, I'm sure, is going to try and have some fun.
We'll see rocket launcher and overshield be on the map for the first time since the start of the game. The overshield has gone towards Toni. We hear a rocket firing in the background, but it will not connect with anybody. Squallaye and PreDevoNatoR go down. TchiK and Shad also in the respawn screen. It's a straight 2v2. Toni, last man alive momentarily, and he decided to play his life.
Just about as well. He kissed the wall a little bit for a while. Looks like he was practicing for his high school prom. But now G1, still behind, 5 minutes remaining. They're trying to go forward, but every time there's a member of Quadrant behind them. Toni, he had overshield. He was moving forward, and he got the call. You've got to come back. You need to help us here. Otherwise, we're giving up map control. And Quadrant are doing very well to disrupt G1's plans of trying to play structured here.
Quadrant also has to be said playing a very dangerous game because all it takes is one misplay and it could be here. This could be the opening that G1 require.
Well, they've got 4-3 advantage, but SLG says, you know what, surprise, I'm behind you. That's what Quadrant have done so well. They have continuously surprised the G1 roster. So much so that PreDevoNatoR, look at him. He doesn't know where he's being pushed from at the moment. He's looking for players, he's checking his corners, making sure there isn't one of those pesky French guys behind you.
Most pesky Frenchman, currently 101. Shad will get 2. Beautiful stuff from him. And now there's a semblance of control bottom middle here. Toni trying to stay alive. Shad loves it, scrap. And ultimately, it's 2 dead apiece once more.
It's not the best from SLG, but again, he was behind enemy lines. He was trying to help his team with this next overshield coming up. Wants to just try and be a distraction technique. It's 12 seconds. You've got to try and situate yourself, ideally in the kind of down in market area, so maybe you can grapple it, or of course up in those lockers as well. But I tell you what, Fragxr is flying through the base.
Throwback to Halo 5 with that movement. Try and track this as a flying Fragxr soars across the screen. Squallaye down by the pillars. And he's not looking to do any renovations on Bazaar. Looking to do nothing but damage. SLG trying to clear out rockets, does so successfully. The flag will clamber up towards Palm Tree. And it looks as though it's gotten away scot-free as Squallaye is the last man alive. What can he do?
Yeah, he's the last form of defense. I don't know if Fragxr's aware. Is Squallaye actually still on the side? No, it's like they were able to deal with him. They sent him back to the respawn screen, and it should be a comfortable cap here for Quadrant. A little bit of a messy run from Fragxr, but perhaps he's trying to increase those carry time statistics that I spoke about a little bit earlier. Saying, hey, I'll take an extra flag grab so that the casters talk about us a bit more. And there was Swish just waiting, hiding, and gets punished. And now with 3 minutes remaining, Quadrant have a very commanding lead.
3 minutes and change left on the clock. What does it mean in the grand scheme of things, though? As now Quadrant have that cushion, they have that security of the extra flag cap, and G1 have to go and get 2 flags now. It's a tall order, but you couldn't bet against them. Squallaye bottom middle, doing as much damage as he possibly can, whilst also trying to survive as Fragxr puts a killing spree on the board. Beautiful stuff from the Frenchman. He's got better and better as this tournament has gone on as Fragxr. As I say that, of course, he misses shots. That's how things work. But with 2 minutes and 30 remaining, it doesn't matter as long as off the respawn screen you are there doing damage and making sure the other team isn't picking up that flag. It's the freest of rockets for Quadrant there. Maybe G1 just starting to drop the ball a little bit. Shad opting not to push into the palm tree. Knows there's nothing but trouble there. Toni, the first one to taste the full force of the rocket launcher. Shad desperately trying to stay alive behind the bar. Look at the clock in here. Not trying to serve food or drink though. Death, pain, daggers to the heart to G1. They desperately try and get a series lead here. And they're knocking on that door. Great cocktails though, while Death and Pain have tried a couple of them. Here in Kansas City, 2-0. And only 1 minute and 50 left with the overshield now in hands of Quadrant. They know that if they can just keep pressuring G1, don't let them out of the base now. You will win this game. You will go 2-1 up in this series. You just can't afford G1 to get 1 flag capture here, because their momentum will be with them. There's a very clear plan here in place. You can see Fragxr has no interest in going to pull another flag. They're setting up, they're playing defense all the way home. Yeah, they don't need to go for the flag. It's a very professional way to try and finish a game. Fragxr's had an amazing game so far as well, and with the overshield, it just gives him that little bit of extra confidence to be taking these fights. As for G1, they're probably already thinking about Game 4 at this point, even though, yes, it's possible to get 2 flags in 1 minute 20. It's very rare you see it in Bazaar capture the flag. Another flag will be pulled, but maybe it's just to occupy the attention of G1 and ensure that they can apply any more pressure in the latter stages of this game. Only 1 minute remaining now as we tick into desperation hour. Fragxr positioned down bottom middle. Just been a constant thorn in the G1 side. They've finally taken that thorn out, but will it come to some reward? I mean, a 3rd flag would really seal the deal here, but I think Quadrant know at this point, and G1 are just going to have to go back to the drawing board a little bit. That being said, Quadrant are very good on Bazaar capture the flag. I mentioned it before this series started. It's one of their better games, and we're seeing why. 3-0 now, 30 seconds left. This game is done. G1 start thinking about Game 4. Quadrant take the lead. Most definitely now, for the first time in the series, a 3-0 advantage. They eventually worked it out. They worked out the puzzle. They've gotten the job done here against G1.
And I think this is such an important victory for Quadrant, not because just you going 2-1 up in the series, but Game 5 for G1 is not a good Game 5, but finally we get the seconds tick over, and Bazaar capture the flag comes to its conclusion. Quadrant go 2-1 up in the series, and one of Europe's finest do seem to be firing on all cylinders today.
Took them a while to get going. G1 have it all to do now. They find themselves down in the series for the first time. They've lost back-to-back games, confidence-wise, and they are just one game away from solidifying themselves as second in the pool and making sure they stay in the winner's bracket.
It would mean they would go up against someone who won a pool as well, but I don't think they're worried about that just yet. Instead, they think about the fact that they are one of the top 8 teams after pool play has gone underway. And what's important about live fire? The sniper rifle. We've seen what Quadrant have done with it, but unfortunately, off the rip, SLG not able to do anything with it.
I'm convinced the S in SLG stands for sniper. It's the only thing that makes sense to me.
What does the L and G stand for, if that's the case?
No idea.
Okay,
I'm not even going to
double check.
Yeah, no idea. I'll try and work it out. All I do know is Tony has a sniper rifle now. The eyes up, TchiK. Swing and a miss this time around. Backs down towards the bottom of tower, but ultimately dispatched. Squallaye in trouble now. And already we're seeing 3 go down here, and ball was not played.
Does get played now though, and a camouflage in the hands of Shad. It was a really impressive push from Quadrant. They did time it and they pinched G1, taking them from both angles. And unfortunately, G1 weren't really expecting it, but at least they got the play ball, right? If that hadn't have gone off the map, that could have been a considerable amount of time for Quadrant.
2 down once more. SLG, the only one to hit the respawn screen. 3 dead. Shad has ball and camo. Getting tagged up. Now that information will come. They're over towards Nest. They'll know exactly where to rotate this ball to, and I love this from Shad.
Yeah, this is what I was saying. Quadrant know how to move around the map, moves towards his spawners. You do worry a little bit that there's going to be some sort of split spawn, and maybe that gets disrupted, but it looks like they've timed it perfectly. Quadrant gain a decent amount of time for it, but they've lost a couple of players, so now Shad has to play this in a way where he does enough damage, but unfortunately he was too late dropping that ball and focusing on sandbags.
PreDevoNatoR then has his work cut out from SLG, positioned over towards the scoreboard, but has no shields. Desperately, frantically trying to stay alive, and he's doing a successful job of SLG. He's so good at just milking his life.
And that's what you need. You need survivability in Halo Infinite. Give your teammates time to respawn or get to you, or do the damage to help you so you can actually get a kill rather than just stay alive, as Fragxr will get the better of Toni. And Fragxr seems to be full of confidence. 8 kills at the moment. For what I've touted as the objective player, he's shown up and said, hey, look, I do more than just grab flags and get balls.
Very little to separate these two then during the open engagements. 3, make it 4 down for Quadrant now. This will be clean time for G1 to really crank the pressure onto Quadrant.
Yeah, where's SLG? Looks like he was just hiding away and waiting for the rest of the team, which is good. But if he gave any sort of audio cues away, G1 going to have a real idea of where these players are pushing from now. And Swish having this heat wave, he can put himself in a spot where he tries to ambush.
Here comes that push. It's going to be SLG, the first man to try and break the lines. As Shad will trade it out. But unfortunately for him, he's one of the last men alive as that player soars past them, and PreDevoNatoR gets the business.
Shad is so good at getting those opening kills as well from a push, and actually he's going to follow up by stopping the ball carrier as well. A very important statistic to make sure the other team isn't able to really gather that time. My biggest takeaway from how Quadrant play ball is that Shad will usually be the one to grab that ball out of those really difficult to reach positions. You know, the ones where you have to expose yourself a little bit. And TchiK's firing again!
Do it! Overkill for TchiK!
It just seems like live fire is Quadrant's hometown. The sniper rifle seems to be the perfect weapon for this French roster. Both TchiK and SLG have been performing excellently so far.
And now Shad. Repulsor play. Pushes that player back with the force push. Ball played though. Squall's picked up a couple. That's going to assume and ensure no more scoring for Quadrant, but Fragxr has somehow managed to keep control of tower.
I think we've seen more overkills in this series than we have this entire tournament, right? It's just been insane from this Quadrant roster. It shows how individually talented they are, though, that they're able to consistently do it. As Toni gets a double kill, a very important one, but unfortunately TchiK is still just scarpering away and gaining time here.
Fragxr then. Eyes on camouflage, just giving it a quick peek, but it's going to be whisked away from under his nose. that grenade will connect. But now Swish has that camouflage. And Quadrant are going to be fully aware of that. As Fragxr shuts down, Swish is going to trade it out. But SLG, we highlighted him before the game of what a great tournament he's having. A slow start by his high standards.
Yeah, he's just got his second kill and his third. As we say it, gets a double on the board. And maybe that will give him a little bit more belief in himself. But he'll be looking at the scoreline, saying it doesn't matter. We're ahead at the very least. But it has been all TchiK so far in this round. Alongside Fragxr, they have been slaughtering G1. G1 can't allow that to happen.
G1, Toni, sent towards the clouds, bumps his head on the top of that tower stairs, and ultimately that will save his life from being completely pushed off the map. But Fragxr turns around and trades it out.
What Quadrant have to be careful of here is Fragxr, he's leading in kills. Does that mean he's going to stop picking up that ball? Fragxr currently is 50% of the ball time held for Quadrant in this tournament. He is the guy who plays that objective. If he's going to be getting slays, maybe SLG needs to pick up that slack. SLG needs to be grabbing that ball instead. Just recognize and read the room and just say, okay, Fragxr, you're firing now. I'll pick up some of the objective work.
You really do have to be fluid at times. You can't just stick to one role. And SLG not getting the slays that he usually does to attribute to his team. Perhaps he needs to take a look at it and say, I'm going to pick up the ball a little bit more and play for the team.
It's very easy when you are struggling in a game to try and improve the statistics as well. If you start, pressing that back button and looking at how many kills you've got, but SLG, assisted by Shad, will take down 2 players of G1 here. But G1 gathered an incredible amount of time to keep this game very close indeed.
A 3-second game. Toni, back tower, fries 1. Shad wants a piece, and he's gonna get a piece! As Toni locks in 2.
Cuts him a slice. Says, how about that, son? Ball being gathered, though, by G1. Will still be scoring. Quadrant off the spawn. They're a little bit scattered at the moment. Need to try and get together. Try and push consistently.
2 go down then. Camouflage for PreDevoNatoR. Has to be a huge one for him. He does manage to stop the push a touch. Camo and sniper rifle. The body shot connects. Shad, 1v1 here of the ages, and PreDevoNatoR comes out on top. And that could ensure even more scoring.
He's playing really well as PreDevoNatoR. Love the pre-nades he's throwing as well. Just gets that ball away to try and make it a little bit more awkward, but this one is really going to come down to the wire with these two teams. 24 remaining for G1, 28 for Quadrant in. This is just round 1 of live fire Oddball as well. Can't afford any mistakes. Only 1 minute on the clock as well, so maybe one last chance for a true setup from either of these teams.
G1 have the option of playing Slayer now if they need to. They have that 5-second cushion. It's not much, but it's enough.
Such a risky game though, isn't it, when you only have a 5-kill lead, but we do see some teams go down that avenue, but it's not going to be a case here for G1 because Quadrant will gain the lead now with the ball, and G1 off spawn, they have to wait for Swish, and this could be their last push. If they go all 4 down here, round 1's going to Quadrant.
This first kill is going to be so important. A couple of shots fired. TchiK's the first pick. Swish, though, has been traded out. It's a 3v3. Ball has been dropped. It's going to be a slugfest for round 1 here. And it looks as though G1 could come out on top with the players on Quadrant scampering away. 3 dead for Quadrant.
G1 have done enough, but Quadrant, who's the first spawner? It's TchiK. He has to get across the map quick enough to at least put his team in a position where he can lead the charge, and then off spawn, they join him, they do the damage, and they try and stop this setup from G1.
90 seconds and counting. Ball is being dropped. Heat wave to the spine under the back whack. We're locking in onto SLG. This heat wave is doing the business right now. As Toni trying to secure his team, but Fragxr picks up that ball and plays it.
So huge, they might still be behind, but it resets everything. G1 have to focus on bottom middle now, and Quadrant spawners, they can nade it, they can make sure that ball has to be contested, but there's only 2 seconds between the two. If G1 gets some slays here, they should win this game.
Only 14 seconds of in-game clock. Just play Slayer could be the call here, but PreDevoNatoR picks up that ball, tries to whisk it away, and he has done so successfully. Toni milking the ball for all it's worth. Only requires 3 more seconds, and Quadrant, they look as though they're not close enough here, and they will go up 1-0.
What a first round of live fire here with Oddball. That could have gone either way. Some really important moments as well. Fragxr trying to give the rest of the team a chance by whisking that ball away and playing it, but it was also the grenades that came out from G1 at the end there, knowing that Quadrant had to desperate that ball. G1 take the lead, but Quadrant now have to try and respond.
Trades down bottom middle, but Shad was last man alive for his team. PreDevoNatoR the same. It's a heat wave versus sniper rifle. It's not an easy fight. Shooting down that little hatch. Ultimately backs down, but the Heatwave wants some more. PreDevoNatoR trying to fry! That no-scope body shot will connect. But SLG has fallen by the wayside. Swish will lock in another. Early scoring gonna go the way of G1. How significant will it be here for Shad?
And we are actually still on board with Shad. Excuse the player Pip. Shad performing very well with that sniper rifle. It's always difficult when you're going up against a Heatwave as well. It's never really a fun thing to do. And there we go. Thank you so much, production. It's 2-1 lead in the series, but it's a 1-0 lead in this round for G1. And they would love to take it to a game 5, but with 2, maybe 3 even down here, Quadrant really need to take advantage of this time.
Yet to register a point. Getting killed, but it's been traded out in a killing spree for Shad. 5 kills without reply for Shad, but still no scores on the board.
And that's back to what I was saying earlier, you know, is the team not really where they usually are when it comes to live fireball? Are they playing it a little bit differently, Quadrant, because players are maybe exceeding in areas they're not usually used to? TchiK even getting his ball time here, not something you'd usually see from the main slayer as much, but G1 making short work of him with some grenades.
Is the pressure just getting the Quadrant here? They're so close, but they could be so far.
Well, it was a 3-2 victory for Quadrant in the games they played against G1 just a few days ago, and if G1 keep this up, we could be going to another game 5 between the two, and it's what this series deserves. They've all been throwing everything into this game and into this series. But G1, they need to stay focused. They need to continue this pressure onto Quadrant.
26-6 then. G1 1 round away from pushing this one to a game 5 slayer. Swish has been instrumental in his team's success. SLG will shut him down for the moment. But Toni trades it out, and every single time Quadrant appeared to get a slender advantage in the slays, it gets evened out.
I love what G1 are doing with the ball at the moment, though. They're trying to keep it in these open, exposed areas so that when Quadrant try and get the ball, they're going to be in such vulnerable positions to grenades off the spawners. Again, it gets tossed out into an open area, but this could be an opportunity for TchiK. There's 3 dead. You've got to get that ball back inside before the grenades start to be hurtling towards you, and he does just that. They are focused on this sniper, though. SLG has got his eyes locked on top middle at the moment.
Starting to rotate that ball towards tower. That seems to be the play. G1 rotating accordingly, but they have lost a couple members during that exchange. SLG in the respawn screen also, but TchiK continues to hold that ball, continues to score points as Shad, head in the swivel, drops down to take care of that sniper rifle player and make it 2. Unable to get himself away from that falling grenade. More scores here now. But this game separated by just 4 seconds.
It was a big flank there from Shad. It's a real risky one as well. If he was backsmacked there, that could have been G1 picking up 15, 20 points on the board. Ball still in an open, exposed area, though. It's not really been a true setup from either squad. They saw Quadrant there trying to desperately get it towards tower so they could play a little bit more structured in this game. Sniper rifle still in the hands of G1, but Quadrant now know where it is.
Some warning shots, bring out across live fire. Nothing connecting, though. Still yet to connect that shot, but doing enough of a distraction job. 2 members of G1 finally eliminate SLG. Ball has been reset because nobody has touched it in such a very long time. Still only separated by 7 seconds. But now Swish has the camouflage, and I love this trigger discipline. Behind TchiK, finally will put those shots down. Unable to get the clean up, and oh no, he's in a world of hurt here.
I was really about to commend him for not, getting too focused on that first kill to switch his priorities and start to look at another player, but unfortunately the rest of his team had already fallen. And Quadrant, I tell you what, that ball reset was a blessing in disguise, because otherwise G1 could have probably nicked that one back into garage. Maybe scored a considerable amount of points with the camouflage to go alongside it. But Shad knows full well he is being chased, so that ball gets tossed off once more. The clock is going to start to play a factor here soon.
Big fight goes down. Shad was making a meal of it. Thankfully, his teammate was on hand. He dropped that sniper rifle and had no longer got any ammo to play with. This Squallaye does his best to try and eliminate Shad, but ultimately Heatwave wins that engagement every time. PreDevoNatoR will finally get that trade. But 47 seconds down to 35. Swish has that ball. The Quadrant boys are nowhere near it.
Swish has done so well to survive bottom middle here, by the way. Does pick up the new Heatwave, but it goes into the hands of TchiK. Is anyone actually going to be able to do any damage with this heat wave though? No, because grenades are going to be thrown everywhere when you're down bottom middle, but toni's the one who picks it up. This could be huge for G1's chances. It's a triple kill as well. And he says, you know what, I don't need overkills, we need the ball instead.
What a team player Toni is. Gets a triple kill, and also says, you know what, I'll take the ball too, I'll start scoring points. Taking this game by the scruff of its neck is Toni. He's been so impressive in this game, number 4. And now they only require 33 seconds. Quadrant are on the ropes. SLG though will pick up 2, and that's going to help their cause make it 3. As now PreDevoNatoR last man alive, and he's done a fantastic job to execute 2. And now PreDevoNatoR gets face to face with a Frenchman, and he loses out this time. But Quadrant have got to start scoring points.
Yeah, 55 seconds on the clock. Remember, it stops every time you are holding that ball, but G1 have done enough to pressure off spawn that Quadrant haven't even been able to hold that ball. Instead, the ball got actually blasted even further into no man's land. SLG does have a camouflage, but can't do anything with it.
Quadrant are in big trouble here, and they're scratched ahead for SLG, trying to figure out what's going wrong here. We prerequisite this as a weak game type for G1 and a strong one for Quadrant, but what a display so far from G1.
It's just how G1 have responded with their use of weapons. It's been a massive focus on that heat wave. They've shut down the sniper rifle control from Quadrant as well. It just seems like Quadrant haven't had a plan B so far. Still time though for them to cut back into this one, but losing individual fights like that is not going to help you.
Squall picks up another.
Oh no.
Quadrant drops down the hole. SLG desperate in that ball, but 3 dead here now. Only 11 seconds of the in-game clock. G1 only requiring just about 11 seconds now. Quadrant are in big trouble going to a game 5. G1 playing so well. The pressure's coming through, but it's not going to be good enough so far. Only requiring 2. He has been eliminated, but now the clock starts to run down. And now they have the ball.
Doesn't matter though, does it? PreDevoNatoR sends us to a game 5. And this series has had a little bit of everything. G1 did not roll over and show their bellies whatsoever, even on one of their more average game types, I'd say. They take down Quadrant on one of Quadrant's better maps and modes.
Boy, oh boy. If we didn't think we had a series before, well, we definitely know now.
I feel like both of these teams knew this was on the cards. Yeah, after playing each other just a few days ago on LAN as well, you get a very good feeling about how other teams are playing. And yeah, okay, they didn't play all the maps and modes that they're playing right now, but it was 3-2 then, and it's quite fitting it's going to be a 3-2 now. But which way is it going to go? Do G1 continue that incredible run they've had through open bracket, or are we going to see Quadrant just clutch up, just get over that final hurdle, which is something traditionally some European teams have struggled to do?
These two teams have gone to absolute war here.
Oh, they have.
It's been back and forth, and now we head into a game 5. What a performance out of Toni in that last game.
An amazing performance as well, and I love what you highlighted as well. You know, he gets the triple kill, he doesn't even think about the overkill.
Yeah.
It's ball time. It's business. It's get this done. Let's take us to a game 5. That game 5 is going to be a Slayer on Aquarius.
Talk to me about it.
The only reason I highlight it is because this is definitely the worst game type on the side of G1. Even the coach said it's our worst game type. So they have had to focus on that. They've had to change something. But as we look back at some of the highlights of Livefire, it really was a top display from G1 to be consistently shutting down this Quadrant roster, not allowing them to pop off with the sniper rifle as much as they did on that Livefire Slayer.
This is our first game of the day. And if more of these are like this, I'm all for it. I'm signed in. I'm locked in.
We're setting ourselves up for an incredible day, that's for sure. The individual talent we've seen has been amazing, but also the teamwork on display. And, you know, these are two teams who we're expecting to be competing for around top 12, maybe pushing towards top 8. Think about what happens when we start to look at our top 6 teams, our top 4 teams. And I know everyone's waiting to see Optic and Cloud9 back on their screens as well. And the way the brackets would end up, that would be a winner's bracket final tomorrow if it were to happen. But as for now, we continue our focus on G1 and Quadrant because it still has not been decided between these two. We've had such intense and close games, but Game 5 sends us to Slayer Aquarius.
Confirmation of how it's gone then. 250 to 245. Strongholds Recharge, Livefire Slayer 50 to 40. Quadrant take the series lead 3-0, commanding fashion. But how G1 have rallied and roared back to life. 2-0 on Oddball.
So Slayer Aquarius may be G1's worst game type. On the other side, it is Quadrant's best game type, both from scrims, online results, and LAN performance as well. but I don't think any of those statistics even matter anymore.
Okay.
It's about who is playing well, who has got the confidence to be jumping in to those engagements, winning those fights. After Bazaar CTF, I would have been all for saying, you know, this is Quadrant. Everything is all going up Quadrant. They were winning all those fights, they were hitting those shots, but suddenly G1 have exploded there in Game 4, where they were winning 1v1s like it didn't matter. Like, there was no pressure, like there was no prize money on the line. It was like they were just playing from home, but no. They're on main stage for the first time, and boy, do they look comfortable there.
One team looking comfortable. Maybe one team looking a little bit scared now. They were favorites coming into this with that second seed, but now all of a sudden, G1 looking to snatch it out of their hands.
I think the kids would say they look a little bit shooketh.
Shooketh? What kids? 1800s? 1600s?
I have no idea at this point, but I've heard it at least said once, so that's what I'm going to go with. But Quadrant, a lot to do to try and pick yourself back up after another loss when you're not able to quite get over the finish line. But it will be Slayer Aquarius, a fantastic game for them historically.
Game 5 then. For all the marbles, live here at Kansas City. Quadrant have it all to do. They're on the ropes. G1 have no pressure on them now, but they're here to play. They want to take this one here and now.
And sometimes when it's your worst game type, right, you feel like you've got nothing to lose. You can only go up from where you once were, and we need to see G1 explode into this game, get an early lead, take the game to Quadrant, take them out of their comfort zone. As for Quadrant, camouflage has to be your focus. Pummel G1 into the ground, show why you're so strong at this map.
One of these teams looking to make a statement of intent. The opening engagements have gone the way of Quadrant here. TchiK will get caught unaware there. PreDevoNatoR will lock in one for his team. Quadrant hold that advantage, only by one. Camouflage desperately trying to scamper away, and has done so successfully. A little bit of trigger discipline here, and PreDevoNatoR in a world of hurt, but has just managed to milk his life a touch. But 5 kills to 3.
It's a good start for Quadrant. Not the best for G1, but at least they are still within 2. As long as you can stay within 2 or 3 of Quadrant here, you are well within your right to take this game. You can't allow too many camouflages to go in favor of Quadrant here, otherwise they will start to run away with things. The likes of TchiK, SLG, when they get the camo, they'll be behind you, they'll be causing a lot of trouble.
Swish getting up close and personal, and you can see why. That heat wave frying. TchiK will trade that one out. Still a 2-kill lead here. He tries to pre-nade that cubby. Take that player down to no shield, ultimately unable to do so. Commando in the hands of Shad. A 1-kill game now.
I feel like a lot of players are trying to use the Commando because they've seen the likes of Lucid pick it up, you know, you've seen the likes of Renegade pick it up, but it's very difficult to try and match what those guys do with the Commando. For me, I'd like to see a little bit more BR use in some of these areas. I feel like a lot of these players are far more comfortable with that weapon. But perhaps as the meta develops and as people get more familiar with it, we will start to see more Commando shots hit, but it's 13-12, still such a close game.
So close. 1 kill. Make it all tied up though. TchiK position front base. Does the damage to PreDevoNatoR, and Fragxr will lock that in one for his team. Now a 2-kill game again. Commando this time for TchiK, but he does hit the shots.
Fair enough. I just want to see it in TchiK's hands at all times then, I guess. He's firing, he's got 5 at the moment. Shad's got the 7, the entry Fragxr for the team, but that's an easy camouflage once more. And with a heat wave alongside it, Quadrant can try and pull away here from G1.
TchiK will get that kill eventually.
How's he alive?
Somehow gets away, but not for long. 19-19 as we approach rapidly the halfway point here. Both these teams trading blow for blow as a double kill for Fragxr.
Cannot stress how important it is that you take down that camouflage when you know where they are as well. You cannot let them escape, especially if they have the heat wave. So G1 have done really well to respond to Quadrant's dominance of that camo so far. 22-21. Fragxr wants to try and take a little bit of top middle control, and that is going to be what he manages to achieve here.
Trades back and forth still. Quadrant have a slender cushion here of 2 kills. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot. Switching the respawn screen, has just rejoined his team, but now PreDevoNatoR is there, and now we're starting to see Quadrant just about stagger those spawns.
It's always good to be on board with Shad, because when there is 8 players all alive, I'd expect Shad to be one of those players to look to try and get that first kill. He's not afraid to enter a gunfight, but he also knows when to get out of a gunfight. That's what's important as a player.
1 kill. Make it 2, but not for long. Again, it's traded out. We're going to see a camouflage very shortly, and that could really dictate the destiny of this game. as TchiK hits 4.
Put yourself in a position to get this one now for Quadrant. They've got the first 2, and if they can get the third as well, it will start to just escape G1 slightly. If you can get away, that's the issue for Quadrant so far. They've not escaped with that camouflage. They've not really been able to put it to good use, because G1 have done so well to respond, but TchiK hits shots alongside Fragxr. It's still so close though. A lot of engagements happening in the middle of the map. Both teams desperately trying to get hold of the thruster.
Toni in a world of hurt, but his teammate comes through with the assist, and now we're all tied up. Both teams requiring 20.
It's another camouflage in favor of Quadrant. This time, SLG has escaped with it. He lets his presence known, but it's good that you back away from this fight now.
Couple of shots, backs down a couple of players, waiting for his teammate to provide some assistance, and it's come. A 3-kill advantage now. G1 trapped in the base, and SLG gets 1. Swish trades it out though. His camouflage has been effective.
It has. He's done it in an entirely different style to some players. Some players want to get behind with camouflage. They want to try and do the damage by surprising. Instead, he said, look, I can stand top middle for free, and I can be a damage dealer. That's why SLG leads Quadrant's damage done throughout this tournament.
Somehow, some way, those dynamo grenades did not put SLG away. And now, what can Squallaye do? Contended with a player front base. Shad backs him all the way down. 37 to 33.
So important that Shad backed away from that fight as well. You don't want to be taking on a heat wave. You don't want to give away any free kills. Instead, you try and force Squallaye to get out of the base, go into open areas, then suddenly you can take him down and maybe take that heat wave off his corpse.
This whole time, Squallay's just been trying to survive, and his teammates around him have slayed out. 6 kills. What separates these two teams now? G1 have to do it here and now. The 7-kill game. Quadrant extend their lead.
And whilst that looks a big enough lead, remember what happened in game 1 of this series. Quadrant had hundreds of points of an advantage in Strongholds, and while Slayer is an entirely different mode, the same thing could happen. You can throw away a lead like that. You have to stay focused here if you're Quadrant. G1 though, know that Quadrant can fall apart. Try and get a big double kill, try and get in their heads. Squallaye gets 2, and that at least starts to pull them back into this game, but I tell you what, Fragxr denies them.
4 more kills. 4 more mistakes for G1. That's all they can afford. Quadrant cranking that pressure. Fragxr hits the respawn screen, but now they only require 3.
Shad knows full well he doesn't have to engage in that fight, and there's 2 more kills required. It's been a long old series for these boys, but Quadrant can taste success now at this point. They just need to focus up, and it's right there for them.
That player backs down towards straight stairs, and TchiK's got cruel intentions. And he gets the final 2, and how fitting is that? Quadrant win. Game 5. 3-2 in the series.
Quadrant guarantee themselves top 2 in their pool. Guarantee themselves a start in the winner's bracket. They're in dreamland. Oh, the boys in green. As for G1, their undefeated run in this tournament comes to an end. But what a performance it was from them. They came so close to taking down Quadrant. There's plenty more matches for G1 to play today. They have to play everyone in their pool before we even get to that bracket. They gave it a good effort, but it's Quadrant who come out on top.
And that now puts Quadrant 3-1 in their pools. They will, no matter what happens at the end of the day, remain in second. But G1, they have to play G2 and indeed Cruelty. And if they've been watching this, watch out, you're in trouble.
I think Cruelty will be shaking in their boots, and I think even G2 are going to be looking at this one saying, hey, well, we lost to Quadrant, and actually, G1 have just had a better game against Quadrant than we did. And we will get that G1 versus G2 matchup happening on LAN, and I can't wait for it, because these guys, they faced up against each other a few times in Pro Series, but now it's going to happen at a LAN event. But it's all about Quadrant after that series. It was back and forth. There were some up and downs for Quadrant. It looked a little bit shaky at times, but they managed to relax now. Job done. What a performance from Quadrant. They are going to be delighted.
It's a podium finish, P2. Who would have expected that at the start of Friday? Unbelievable display from Quadrant.